All right, let's talk about Alex Honnold's climb up Taipei 101. We all saw it, right? Millions of us watching live, just waiting, thinking he might fall. But here's the thing. What if the real drama, the actual controversy, had nothing to do with him being on the side of that building?
Okay, let's just dive right in with this quote because it really gets to the heart of the matter. A top-tier climber, Sebastian Buin, said this before Honnold even started. He's basically saying, hey, these live broadcasts make it look like you're gambling with your life, but that's not what's happening here. He's hinting that the whole life or death thing Netflix was selling us, yeah, that wasn't the real story for the folks who actually understood climbing. So first up, let's just set the scene. Let's talk about the massive spectacle that had, literally the entire world watching.
So you gotta picture it. January 25th, 2026. The whole world is basically holding its breath. Why? Because Alex Honnold, the guy from that incredible movie Free Solo, is climbing one of the tallest skyscrapers on Earth. And the crazy part? No ropes. None. And it's all being broadcast live, globally, on Netflix. And hey, just so we're all on the same page, what he's doing is called Free Solo. It's a type of climbing where you're totally alone, no ropes, no harnesses, no safety gear whatsoever. It means that if you make one tiny mistake, that's it. It is, quite literally, the final mistake you'll make. So, naturally, for all of us watching from our couches, this was just pure, nail-biting tension. Netflix was pushing this as this huge, high-stakes cultural moment you just had to see. And you know what? It totally felt like it.
But here's where it gets interesting. While the rest of the world is on the absolute edge of their seats, the expert climbing community, well, they were telling a completely different story. Just listen to this guy, Alain Robert. They call him the French Spider-Man for a reason. He's climbed like 250 skyscrapers himself, and before Honnold even started his climb, Robert just came out and said it, totally confident. He will not fall.
Yeah, in fact, Robert rated the difficulty of Taipei 101 at like a 6 or 7 out of 10, which sounds high, but for a climber, that's kind of modest. He basically said that for someone like Honnold, a natural rock face is way, way harder. This building, it's a different kind of challenge. And, this confidence from the experts, it all comes down to Honnold's reputation. See, inside the sport, he's not seen as some crazy daredevil. Not at all. He's known for being incredibly rational, super cautious. This is a guy who has bailed on huge climbs, even after weeks of prep, just because he felt the risk was a tiny bit too high. So what you end up with is this huge disconnect, right, between how we, the public, saw it and how the experts saw it. For us, it was a deadly gamble. For them, it was a calculated, professional performance, a master at work. Which, of course, leads to the big question. If the experts all knew he was going to be fine, if the physical risk was basically managed, then what was the real risk? What was the actual controversy that was brewing behind the scenes?
Well, it turns out the real controversy, the heart of the whole debate, it had almost nothing to do with the skyscraper itself. It had everything to do with the cameras.
And this whole live broadcasting thing, it really split the climbing world right down the middle. You had one camp saying, hey, this is awesome, it's great for the sport, brings in new fans. But the other side was like, no way, this just sells danger. It creates a totally false idea of what climbing is, and it turns something personal into a big public show just to make money.
Yeah, a lot of critics were really unhappy with the hype. They felt that framing it as this unprecedented feat just completely betrayed the spirit of free soloing. See, for them, it's supposed to be about humility, about a quiet, personal challenge. It's not supposed to be a global performance. Even media experts got involved. They pointed out that this is a classic problem with broadcasting sports like this. When you focus only on the big, flashy spectacle, you completely ignore the thousands of hours of training and prep that went into it. It makes this incredible feat of skill just look like some kind of extreme stunt. So, that's the next big question, isn't it? Why would Honnold do it? He's often seen as a purist in the sport, so why agree to this whole media circus?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple and practical. It breaks down like this. First, you can't just climb a skyscraper. You need a permit. Second, you usually only get a permit if you're staging a big public event or performance. And third, to pull off an event that massive, you need a huge media partner, like Netflix, to pay for it all. Honnold actually talked about this himself. He basically said that almost no media companies are willing to touch a project like this. The risk, both financially and for their reputation, is just too high. So when you think about it, it was kind of Netflix, or the climb just doesn't happen at all.
And that's really what I want to leave you with. This one big, thought-provoking question. As these incredible adventure sports get more and more popular, we've got to ask ourselves, when a deeply personal achievement requires a global TV audience just for someone to get the permission to try, is it still just a climb? Or has it turned into something else entirely?